Namaste, Quantum Galactic Family. Welcome to my channel. You are very cherished, and I am ever in gratitude for your love and support. Thank you to anybody who has reached out to me, and if you've commented on the videos, and if you've been watching and supporting my channel, just know that I really appreciate it. And I am a little late. My human mind thinks getting this starseed energy update out, as far as it's for the time cell of October 18th through November 14th, and it's called the self-existing moon of form. That's what this time cell is called. So that's we've actually gone into it by a couple days. My higher self is screaming, just all in divine timing. I was still kind of receiving major downloads of intelligences that I wanted to share with you. And that's kind of my reason for stalling, as this profound watcher energy that has been activated. The four guardians of heaven, the original cardinal points, the royal stargates in the sky, which I'm going to get into in more detail. But this does correlate universally and synchronistically, of course, to the Mayan calendar, because we are operating in cosmic synchronicity, as we are well underway in the fourth self-existing tone of creation. And that's the grounding and creating and growing and defining, measuring, and forming our realities, operating through this measure of wholeness, so we can essentially see our manifestations occur. And measure is the form-giving principle of energy. And you can see here on my mem, or my clip here, that I included the Sri Yantra, and it's the yantra used on the actual Mayan calendar for this time cell, I'm using the galactic calendar by sky time. So, but also to explain briefly why this symbol, or sacred geometry symbol, represents support and release from bondage. It's basically a tool for meditation. So last night I put on a meditation that was a Hindu mantra for the Sri Yantra, and it repeated the mantra 108 times, because in Hindu they believe that 108 repetitions is needed to program the subconscious. So what you do is you put on the mantra, and then you stare into the center of the dot in the 9 interlocking triangles, and it's supposed to help clear energy and activate deities of wealth. And essentially it's the yantra of dreams. So this is all about helping you see your full potentials, your multidimensional potentials. So I really love to meditate to this yantra. So quickly, for those of you who don't know about the Mayan calendar, it's essentially nature's creative process as an unfolding 13-day spiral of time through 13 tones of creation. Those tones being magnetic, lunar, electric, self-existing, overtone, rhythmic, resonant, galactic, solar, planetary, spectral, crystal, and cosmic. And it's so interesting because I can actually feel like I can hear each one of those tones just in my voice as I'm speaking. So you can equate these 13 tones to the 13 astrology houses. And yes, I said 13. Ophiuchus doesn't up and disappear eternally just because Western astrology decided to exclude it. You know what I mean? So it also equates to the 13 articulation joints in the human physical body, where we circulate movement and bring the energy body to life. And this essentially activates your entire light body to the 1320 frequency. which is the original Earth template. And this is activated and amplified through wave spells that begin with the magnetic tone and one of the solar tribes. With it beginning with the magnetic tone of 1, it starts with a drawing in of the energy into the body. And I do believe that each tone of the moon, so each phase of the moon, determines how much magnetic energy of this draw of creational tones you're actually pulling into the body. I feel that pulling in this energy into the body is what geometrically expands the Merkaba inside. This is what actually breaks down and rebuilds the Merkaba. And it's this process of expansion and contraction, riding this cosmic dualistic wave particle consciousness, aligning and attuning to the brain waves that you're aligning to within. So that dualistic wave particle consciousness is going to vary based off of the actual brain wave that you're in tune to. Some of them are closer together, some of them are waved out longer. And this is depending upon the frequency that you're holding inside. It's pretty intriguing how in-depth and how detailed that comprehension actually goes. It goes very quantum within the conscious and the subconscious, and even deeper into the other aspects of consciousness that, we're not even fully aware of, which would be like the pre-conscious, waking conscious, the hollow mind perceiver, essentially the 7 mental spheres of the mind. If anybody's reading Cosmic Chronicles, they go in and teach you about the 7 different mental spheres of the mind. They also teach you about the 7 types of electricity. So there's actually different types of electricity, and how this is affecting thoughts and emotions and energy in the body, and how it's all connected. I just got off on a crazy tangent there. But essentially, the 1320 frequency also correlates and equates to the 13 articulation joints in the human physical body. So where circular movement brings the energy body to life. And this essentially activates your entire light body to the 1320 frequency, which is the original Earth template. This is activated and amplified through wave spells that begin with the magnetic tone and one of the 20 solar tribes. And the solar tribes being an archetype that brings definition to human potential. And here's what I say, that the archetypal energy is infinite, it is limitless. So it's indefinite. Certain systems have structuralized some archetypal energy, like the Mayan calendar has structuralized 20, human potential archetypes. And then you have the Cosmic Chronicles, they say there's 21 galactic archetypes. And then you have, when you get into any type of mythology, there's a plethora of archetypes, and they can be a person, place, or a thing. Essentially is what an archetype is, an expression of this certain energy, the energy signature of it, and then there's an embodiment of that energy. So that's why if you meet somebody who's an international traveler, they've been a lot of places, they've lived in a lot of places, they just have a different energy to them because they've literally gone around collecting archetypal energy from all over the world. It's an infinite power, it's an infinite energy, and you can essentially call forth to your higher self in the higher dimensions in the cosmic Akash and call forth these archetypal energies up through the subconscious, up to your conscious mind. It's like you're going fishing in your own subconscious, throwing the line out there, hoping you're going to catch. Not hoping, but it can be very mentally mastered, essentially, if you know how to invocate the energy, if you know how to call it forth and work with it. And then from there, it's a process of investigation, searching for knowledge, getting the vision from the higher self, getting the download from the archetype itself even sometimes, or the stargate. When stargates activate, stargates open inside the body, inside the heart portal, they bring forth archetypal energy, because there is a planetary and like a star that rules essentially anything and everything. Every goddess, every god that's ever walked, that's been, put down in a mythology book or put down in the Bible or put down in whatever. It's all connected planetarily, and it's all connected on a level of the cosmos. It's really just identifying that once you tune in cosmically as a quantified consciousness, you essentially tune into the cosmic energy first, because you're going to prime source energy first. As you become more quantum within the body, there's this cutting through like a laser to like source energy. You just keep going straight to the source. So you're going to pick up on that source energy before you pick up on anything else. You're going to pick up on the source stargate before you even pick up on the archetype. That's how quantified we're going sometimes. It's crazy. Let me get back on track here, because I cannot stay focused. Okay, so essentially, the solar tribes being like an archetype that brings definition to human potential. Essentially, a higher frequency of time. It's a fourth dimensional galactic perspective of time cells that align you to the Earth's natural harmonic cycles. So instead of 12 uneven months, the 365 days are divided evenly into 13 months of 28 days each, which is the harmic way to measure, because this cell is all about measuring our orbit around the sun, which 13 times 28 equals 364, and that leaves one day out of the year that doesn't go into the calendar. And that's the closest we can get to being in complete harmonic synchronization to our truest alignment of time. So the 364 days is what breaks down evenly, and then there's one day left out. And the Gregorian calendar, I don't know how many days are left out. I haven't even looked or checked, but I know it's a lot more altered than the Mayan, extremely altered, to the point that it leaves out an entire zodiac sign. So what I'm saying is that we have one day left out of the year, and it's celebrated on July 25th, and it's an international holiday of spiritual renewal. It's a day that you literally don't even, think about time. Speaking of international holidays, this one maybe not so recognized, or actually in truth, it was rejected by the Vatican because it related to synchronicity with pagan elements. Anything of the feminine tainted as evil or demonized, crusading and casting out of the snakes, all of this profound ancestral, patriarchal, karmatic entanglement that's attached to this Aquarian planetary timeline seated in the DNA is ultimately aspects of the collective we are trying to heal. And healing as more and more awaken from the inner grid systems of their own internal matrix. But I've been seeing skulls everywhere. As we get closer and closer to the Day of the Dead, tradition to remember the dead as we come into profound Mars and Plutonic planetary influences. Profound Pluto of power is what I like to call him. Pluto essentially is linked to the nuclear fusion in the DNA and the ability to both destroy and create. Meaning that really on a scientific, astrologist level, we don't really fully understand the depth and the profound effect that Pluto actually has on us planetarily, as a collective, as one indigenous tribe of the earth. It's beyond our level of comprehension of how much, what all Pluto is really truly connected to. But it is known to be able to destroy and to create. Just like the Egyptian Scorpio goddess Selket, her name meaning she who tightens the throat, and equally meaning she who causes the throat to breathe. She carries the venom and the antidote, kind of like Pluto making major generational influences on the world. Essentially, I feel Antares, one of the royal stars, the heart of the Scorpion at 9 degrees of Sagittarius, for it's the degree of the warrior, watcher of the West. Antares stargate is dialing, moving into Scorpion energy. So this profound awareness of death and renewal, just death in general, death all around, honoring this common happening in life, honoring and celebrating this transformation. A lot of people are doing this by placing gifts on graves, preparing altars, and giving offerings, creating space for awareness and deeper states of connection to spirit. Honoring the angelic transformations, representing true incarnational freedom and ultimately raw creative power. So we are collectively moving into a place of receptivity. This is heightened sensitivity, sympathetic, telepathic empathy, like regular reading the subconscious of those around us as this starts to become very amplified in our awareness. We're going through profound emotional intuition. We're having increased heart consciousness expansion. This is amplifying more and more, and it redirects us back into the deep aspects of the collective subconscious through triggers and DNA activations, holographic memories, through dualistic wave particle consciousness playing out that into the physical world for us to see it, to feel collective humanity reforming underneath the veils and distortions. And this is a process of measuring. This is a process of recentering space, purifying and finding stillness. You may be feeling very overwhelmed and just having this sense to be practicing forgiveness right now for self and others, because gentleness and fragility and vulnerability starts to become a necessity in honoring truth. And needing to give yourself this acceptance to quiet the mind, creating allowance and homeostasis in the body, creating a foundation and stability as this existing creational tone heightens the awareness to that of 4. So 4 being the Anahata, the heart chakra, Cancer in the houses of astrology, representing, the home symbolically and metaphorically. 4, just in general, representing the heart. And this bringing us back into the center of awareness, our 0 point field, bringing us back into the primordial egg, bringing us into a state of observation. The heart in the physical body is the center of one's awareness. This awareness I've been activating to, profound awareness of the 4 cardinal points and the guardians of heaven. So the royal stars, the 4 kings in the heavens, Fomalhaut, Archangel Gabriel, Aldebaran, Archangel Michael, Regulus, Archangel Raphael, and Antares, which is Archangel Uriel. So every time we come close to the degree of one of these royal stars, this is essentially an activation for those that are ready and those that hold a natal blueprint or soul genetic polarity to the stargate itself. You'll start to actually feel the magnetic tones as octaves, as symphonies. You'll hear them calling, you'll hear them dialing and pulling you into this awareness. So we have the 4 directions, the 4 seasons, the 4 elements, the 4 limbs in the body, 4 chambers of the human heart, 4 sides to the tetrahedron, 4 delivering structure to the 3rd dimension, 4 offering stability. This all governed by the 4 royal stars. They are the 4 brightest stars in their constellation, and they mark the changes in the year, so the equinoxes and the solstices. And this information that I'm actually about to provide for you, I have been finding varied information about which star governs which direction, but I'm going to provide the one that has seemed to be the most consistent that I'm finding. I feel like everyone that I know who's spiritually casting the corners, calling to the corners, activating the corners, communicating with the watchers, calling upon the watchers, it's a pretty common meditation for anybody of any spirituality, whether you're religious or you're spiritual or you're expanded galactic consciousness, whatever you hold as your perception. Calling upon the 4 angels, it's like one of the main meditations that people do, doing it through breath work, doing it through invoking, doing it through casting. I mean, there's all types of ways that you can do this. Everyone that I meet has like a different perception about which angel's on which direction, which cardinal point. What I'm trying to say is the information varies, so I'm just going to give you what I have found to be the most consistent. So the first star that I'm going to talk about is Aldebaran, and it actually sits at 9 degrees Gemini. It is the watcher of the East. East energy initiates. So this is representing Archangel Michael. This is the eye of the bull in Taurus, even though it sits 9 degrees in Gemini. So I kind of feel like bullfighting is symbolic for dancing with God. It's like this teasing of Archangel Michael. They're like antagonizing the infinite, taking risks, challenging the universe. Aldebaran is essentially governing Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. It's considered the eye of revelation, Buddha's star, God's eye, holding the vision for the starseeds, global leaders, and world servers' missions on Earth. Then there is Antares, Alpha Scorpii. This is the heart of the Scorpio that actually sits at 9 degrees of Sagittarius. This is watcher of the West. West energy transforms. This is the equal opposite polarity of Aldebaran, representing Archangel Uriel, the fire of God, flame of God, watching over thunder and terror. Antares is Greek for anti-Eris or anti-Mars. Antares is like essentially the rival of Mars, and all of this, rivalry energy. It kind of has like a negative connotation throughout history, but what I feel most with Antares is just like raw creative power, like highly attuned mental mastery and chess-like checkmate skills of life, like strategic intelligence, strategic telepathy, energetic maneuvering, masterful movement of energy. And we all know the story of Orion, getting Antares, or the scorpion, dispatched on him to kill him for being too boastful and arrogant. So I feel Antares keeps this in check. Antares is like the awareness, the humility, the humility, and the vulnerability, and the justice, having the aspects of scales and Libra influence as well. And then we also have Regulus at 29 degrees of Leo, Regulus being the heart of the lion, represented by Raphael, watcher of the north. North energy refines. 29 degrees of anything can represent the end of something. So this star regulates happenings. It's like a sustainer, it's a supervisor, it's a coordinator. And it readjusts if it needs to. It's said that it acts as a lens for Syrian energy to Earth, representing the heart itself, and how everything has to be filtered through this first, stimulating humanity to express heart consciousness. Every heartbeat in the body is essentially regulating the disbursements, the arrangements of energy, electricity, electronics, radial plasma, static, and stages of quantified particles. Because remember, everything galactic equates to quantum within the body. That far of an expansion in consciousness is going to take you very deep within the body. And lastly, We have formal hot, the solitary one at 3 degrees of Pisces, in the eye of the fish, and foot of the water bearer, watcher of the south, represented by Archangel Gabriel, the angel of Annunciation, delivering the messages of the Messiah. Representing resurrection and mercy, vengeance, death, revelation, and lessons. The south energy essentially ripens, and it contains this like hope of being reborn, rising like the phoenix. It has some Venusian qualities because it's also kind of representing the fertility goddess too as well. I also feel formal halt may even play like a huge part in the Day of the Dead, governing the south, and this worship is celebrated primarily in the central southern hemisphere of our world of Earth. So I feel formal halt plays this like activation to these homages. It's like an underlying creational energy that influences it. Okay, and to finish up my energy update, I'm going to go over the wave spells real quick here. So we have wave spells, Red Magnetic Dragon, October 26th through November 7th. And you'll see with this red dragon, the collective amp up more in profound transmissions of anything related to the dragon. So reptilians, dracos, greys, white dragons, black dragons, 13 dragon bloodline, 13th tribal prophecies, protectors, warriors, guides, anything of the dragon, it's being initiated. Red is the initiative energy. So it's like the wave spell is all about these initiations and these spiritual level ups and facing of fears and being recognized and rewarded for such spiritual growth. Energetically, spiritually, emotionally, it can represent the beginning of something new. And then we also have another wave spell, so White Magnetic Wizard, November 8th through November 20th. And this is about timelessness, receptivity, and being in the present moment, teaching that the present moment is always a living oracle. And remember, both of these wave spells are going to be pulled in starting with that magnetic tone. Okay, and then we also have the Galactic Activation Portal Days. And whenever we have them back to back like this, we didn't have them back to back for the last couple time cells, but the one before that we had a back to back. When we have them back to back like that, what it essentially does is it causes like a new galactic spin. It's like things really get an extra boost, or it's something very, very profound, a collapse of something, an ending of some portal, wormhole energy to it, where like you're in one place and then it's just like everything changes and happens so quickly, and boom, you're like on the other side and you're experiencing like a totally new reality. These galactic activation portal days are like supercharged cosmic gateways that essentially amplify the awareness of energy, the flows, the major activations, the revelations, and the stargates opening inside the body and heartbeat pumping. So what essentially, when you activate to the awareness of stargates within the body, it's essentially the heartbeat. So every time the heart pumps, the system is flooded with stargate information. Every time that chamber opens, you've essentially downloaded cosmic information, and it's cosmic and earthly information, and it's dispersed to the body. So a little bit more explanation on the galactic activation portal days. Within the 260-day galactic cycle, there are 52 portals. These specific kin form the loom of the Maya, which is a bilateral symmetry pattern that reflects the basic pattern of our DNA double helix, integrating the galactic code of light into the genetic code of life. This portal formation is the resonant structure linked to the full potential of our DNA. That can be genetic lineage activations, soul genetics, activating to ancestral memories, unlocking of triggers and codons and remembrances and past lives, future lives. It's a combustion of a lot of simultaneous multidimensional possibilities and holographic realities. And essentially, you're activating to that awareness more profoundly in these portals, in these days that are known to be heightened galactic energy. Namaste. I hope you enjoyed this energy update, Starseeds and Galactic Expanded Quantum Consciousness. I hope you enjoyed this update. If you have any questions or comments, comment below.